for Scott Frost in Nebraska not having the highs, unfortunately, that Harbaugh has had, even though it's been a roller coaster, this would be a huge credibility win for you guys. Are you picking up on that same energy there? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, the horrible thing about this whole thing is that both Jim Harbaugh and Scott Frost have taken so much heat for things that, quite frankly, is kind of ridiculous. I mean, they're both, all they want is to win at their alma mater and make everybody proud. And yeah, Scott Frost, it's been, this is season 4, and he has not had a signature win. And this one would probably check every category on everything that's ailing Husker Nation right now. With, quite frankly, since Nebraska joined the Big Ten, it's been a fan base that has just not been satisfied with anything. So, and if Scott Frost can't win a game like this, he's got another chance against Ohio State coming up. So, you still have that to look forward to if Nebraska loses Saturday night. But, those chances are running out here, unfortunately, for Coach Frost if things don't get turned around here.
Yeah, I know Michigan's schedule is pretty backloaded. I mean, their last 4 games is, I think they got Penn State, Maryland in there. I think Indiana and Ohio State.
Yeah, and I forget. Yeah, and I leave out Iowa and Wisconsin out of that right there. So.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my question. What does Nebraska's schedule look like on the back end? But it sounds like it's just as loaded as Michigan's is.
Yeah, I mean, you got Minnesota, you got Iowa, and you got Wisconsin, and you get another. You get Purdue. So if Iowa, what's Iowa's number 3 right now? So, yeah.
Fantastic.
And I don't care what Wisconsin's record is. Wisconsin's always Wisconsin. So and you got you guys kind of helped out with Graham Mertz there last night.
Yeah.
So nobody has a good schedule coming up. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to just the Big Ten, that it's
getting
not
better.
It's getting better. It's improving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even in a year where Ohio State loses to Oregon, like I still don't think anybody wants to play the Buckeyes today.
No.
So but then you also have Maryland is no longer the team that it used to be. Rutgers gave Michigan a heck of a fight. Penn State is Penn State. You got Iowa. Like it's just not. It is a big boys league for sure.
Yeah. Northwestern's down this year, but they were just in the Big Ten title game last year.
Yeah, they were West champs last year. So
so it's like there's no more gimmies, and one thing that'll be interesting to see on Saturday is Michigan has not really faced any adversity this season. Maybe small pressure going into a game, especially going to Wisconsin, because they haven't won there since 2001. And, the last 2 trips Harbaugh had there in 17 and 19 were terrible performances. But they were never down this past Saturday in Wisconsin. And I don't think they've been down any point this season, based on my memory. If you guys are able to punch Michigan in the mouth, one negative trend that Harbaugh teams have had, maybe not this year, but we'll find out, but definitely previous years recently, is when they face adversity in the game, a team that has decent talent and they find themselves down a touchdown, and they had to figure out a way to claw themselves back in the game or stuff like that, they tend to wilt under that pressure. So if you guys are able to do that, I know I'll be very uneasy myself, because we just haven't faced that, and to have that situation, have that kind of lingering over your head, and all of a sudden you're in a tough environment. It definitely goes to advantage home team.
Yeah, and Nebraska also, think about it. Nebraska's already had 2 of those games. We're always throwing out that Illinois game, but Nebraska is right there at the end of the game against Oklahoma and Michigan State. 2 top, 2 ranked teams. So they have been playing against that kind of adversity, and They might be the more experienced team coming into this game. If we're talking about that kind of aspect of things, kind of throw out the grade. Nebraska does play a lot of young guys, but on the flip side, they also have a lot of guys that have played a lot of football too, especially on that defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, it's kind of funny when you mention that because it sounds like Nebraska might be more prepared for a game like that than Michigan might be, since the way that Wisconsin game ended up.
For sure. Well, Greg, I think you keep your score predictions. You do those on Patreon, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I haven't filled them out yet this week.
Okay. So we'll treat you like Kirk Herbstreit since you're essentially calling the game. We'll remove you from it. But Dre, can you give us a score prediction for Saturday?
I'll go Michigan 24, Nebraska 20. I think it's going to be a really good game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty close to that. I want to say 28-24. I'm going to say Michigan. I think it originally, like a couple days ago, I was like, oh, yeah, this is 2 touchdowns at least. But digging a little more, and I'm like, I took a look at the specifically Michigan State game and Oklahoma. Even though Nebraska lost those games, I just saw what they did versus those running backs and those run games. And those are 2 high quality, run games. Like with Michigan State, obviously we know the run that Kenneth Walker III is on right now, and Oklahoma runs the ball really well. So I think it is going to be a battle. Excuse me, but I think Michigan will pull it out, and I think it'll be much closer than I originally thought that the game would be.
Yeah, and I'm not going to change my prediction from our show last night. I'm picking Nebraska 24-21 to win the game. And I think the one thing that, and I'm sure the Michigan coaches know this and stuff, but this Nebraska defense is something special, something that I have not seen here in a long time since the 90s, when there was several national championships being hoisted, and this is a defense that is playing at such a high level and has a lot of talent across the board. And this is the first time since Nebraska joined the Big Ten and had to make that switch from the 4-3 to the 3-4, that they're actually playing the 3-4 defense like it's supposed to be played. And everybody gets it. There's not a single guy out there, barring one, that is a first-time starter that has not played, Big Ten football for a whole season. And they've got this thing put together. And, Michigan may have to change some things up to move the ball, and that's why I'm picking this as a lower scoring game. And I think Nebraska just, for some reason, is going to get out from behind the 8 ball and finally win one of these big-time games. And I think it's going to be one of those instant classics when it's all said and done.
But one of those games we saw,
one of those.
Yeah. One of those games we see, when we're starting for football and before the season starts, Big Ten Classic games. One of those games, absolutely. Yep. Now, and I think one thing that I've noticed is that all 3 of us are expecting, at the very least, a very close competitive game, which is something that we all want to see.
Yes.
And quite frankly, it's historically, it should be like this.
Yeah.
And also with both coaches, the cachet they have their programs, it should be like this. So, this should be a Big Ten title, type of atmosphere, championship one day. It should be. This is what people expected when both guys got to their position. So it's going to be fun.
This would be if Nebraska was, say, 5-1. This would be College Game Day. Would probably be in
absolutely.
Yep.
And I think Nebraska is playing at that kind of a level where it should be like that, and that's what I'm expecting to see. I'm not, absolutely not seeing a Nebraska team that's intimidated whatsoever. So they're a team that thinks they're better than Michigan at this point. So, and I think that's going to show on the field